Los Angeles is burning and it feels like something straight out of a disaster movie. A fire tornado was spotted in Palisades, trapping residents in their homes as monstrous flames ravaged everything in their path. One man, surrounded by fire, filmed what seemed like his last moments. Luckily, firefighters saved him, but 24 others weren't so fortunate. This disaster is already more catastrophic than anyone could have imagined. 40,000 acres have been torched, 12,000 buildings have been reduced to ashes, and 180,000 people have been forced to flee their homes. The economic toll is a staggering $50 billion, but here's the most shocking part. It's January, the wettest month of the year for Los Angeles. So why are wildfires raging like it's midsummer? Scientists are sounding the alarm because climate change is no longer a distant threat. It's here, and it's causing devastation at an unprecedented rate. 2023 was the hottest year ever recorded, and 2024 has already shattered that record, continuing the trend of extreme heat. As temperatures rise, the vegetation that once thrived now dries up, fueling wildfires that spread faster and with greater intensity. It's not just California. Global climate change is already showing its terrifying effects in multiple places. Wildfires aren't confined to the U.S. anymore. Australia is battling its own blaze, Dubai is drowning in floods, and India is experiencing increasingly deadly heat waves. These aren't isolated incidents. They are the signs of a planet in crisis, and they are only going to get worse. But the scariest part? The very companies responsible for this mess have known for decades about the deadly consequences of their actions. Fossil fuel companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and others knew in the 1950s that carbon emissions from their products would lead to global warming, yet they chose to profit over the planet's future. These companies spent billions to fund disinformation campaigns, bribe politicians, and block policies that could have reduced their carbon footprint. While the rest of the world was left in the dark, they continued to expand fossil fuel industries, keeping renewable energy from becoming a real alternative. The science was clear: carbon emissions trap heat, and this leads to climate chaos. Yet, despite this knowledge, the CEOs and executives of these massive corporations chose to suppress climate change research, mislead the public, and put their own profits first. In fact, it wasn't until 2008 that these companies admitted that human activity was driving climate change. Think about that. 50 years of misinformation and corporate greed, and now we're facing the consequences. This includes not just wildfires, but rising sea levels, devastating hurricanes, and floods that are ravaging cities. But there is hope. The story of Peter Kalmsat, a scientist who lived through the terrifying effects of climate change in California, shows us that it's not too late to take action. Peter and his family were living in what seemed like paradise in a Los Angeles suburb. There were green lawns, avocado trees, and perfect weather that he thought would never change. But by 2012, the signs were unmistakable. Temperatures were rising and the droughts were getting worse. By 2020, during a severe heat wave, Peter personally experienced heat exhaustion for the first time. Then a massive wildfire called the Bobcat Fire erupted near his home, and he, his family, and neighbors were forced to live under a cloud of smoke for weeks. Peter made the painful decision to leave California, knowing that climate change had already turned his once ideal home into a danger zone. After moving to North Carolina, Peter began to see the destruction unfold. His old neighborhood in California was wiped